Dion is back as the head coach, but Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter are both gone. So in comes Caden Salter from the transfer portal, quarterback out of Liberty. And I think he's going to be a really solid option for Colorado. And overall, this team is just not going to be quite as good as they were last season, taking a little bit of a dip at most positions across the board. I do think we'll see a slight step back, but there's still a realistic chance that this Colorado team can push for a bowl game. But it starts off with a really tough home game against Georgia Tech. This team is bringing back Haynes King as their starting quarterback, almost beat Georgia in that thriller 8 overtime game last season. I think that the Yellow Jackets have a chance to be really good this year. And on the road against Colorado, I think they're actually going to get it done.
And a lot of that is also due to the fact that, like Jonah was saying, Haynes King is back for Georgia Tech. Colorado is going to have 13 new starters, both on offense and defense, that are going to be incoming transfers, along with that being the starting quarterback. There's just so much turnover on this roster that I don't see, despite however good Dion might be as a coach. I don't see Colorado being able to compete with a Georgia Tech team that we think has a legitimate chance of competing in the ACC to open the season. Following the game against Delaware, though, it's going to be their second ever game played in the FBS, and they're most likely going to lose in Boulder. They just stand absolutely no chance. The talent that Dion has been able to bring into Colorado in now his third year as their head coach has just put them well ahead of teams like Delaware. And then they open up Big 12 play with a road game against Houston. Houston's bringing in Connor Wakeman from Texas A&M to be their starting quarterback, looking to turn things around after they've been kind of stuck in the middle lower half of the Big 12 standings. And while they might be moving in the right direction, I am going to trust Dion and this Colorado offense to pick up some steam after their first two games start clicking with their young guys and start the year off with a Big 12 win.
Then it's Wyoming. This one also should be pretty easy, kind of similar to Delaware, although Wyoming is more talented than Delaware. Colorado's the better team. They'll get another win here at home. To close out their non-conference schedule, it's just Big 12 play from here on out. And the Big 12 games are not easy. BYU first up. BYU is an intriguing team. As of right now, Jake Retzlaff is slated to return as the starting quarterback, provided he is innocent in the allegations that are currently against him. That is not something for us to judge. So, as long as he's a member of the team, we're going to treat him as the starting quarterback, which means that this is a really, really good BYU team. And I do think that the Cougars are going to be much better than Colorado. We saw what they did to them in the bowl game last year. Now, without Shadur or Travis Hunter, BYU, even though they're playing on the road, I think is going to be significantly better than Deion Sanders' Buffaloes. They'll get a big win here and drop Colorado to 3-2.
And a big thing there for BYU is that defensively, they are one of the better teams in the Big 12 on the defensive side, maybe even one of the better teams in all of college football. And against a Colorado team that has so much offensive turnover, they're going to be able to control the trenches and really wreak havoc on this Buffalo's offense. Following week is a road game against TCU, and TCU is one of those teams that we really like in the Big 12 to just stir up some more chaos. They have Josh Hoover returning as their starting quarterback after a very phenomenal season. And the only issue with him is that he lost so many of his weapons from last year to the NFL draft or the transfer portal, but they are bringing in quite a few weapons for him to use, just depending on if they're able to click. And at this point in the season, I think that the TCU offense is going to be plenty good to handle this Colorado defense that no longer has their big playmaker in Travis Hunter. I think Colorado is going to drop another game here, dropping them to 3-3.
And the schedule doesn't lighten up either, with Iowa State as their last team before the bye week. And the Cyclones are returning Rocco Beck after coming just one game shy of the college football playoffs. This is a really good Cyclones team. And again, they're just better than Colorado. That's been the theme over these last 3 games. And I don't think it's going to change here. Buffaloes once again are going to pick up another loss to a better team.
And after the bye week, I honestly don't think it's getting much better. A road trip to Utah with this team that Kyle Whittingham has built, bringing in Devin Dampier from New Mexico to be their starting quarterback and Wayshawn Parker from Washington State to be their lead running back. This Utah team finally looks like they can compete, and as long as everyone stays healthy, I think we can see a Utah team that is once again fighting for a Big 12 title game appearance. And on the road for this Colorado team that just has so many new and fresh faces, I don't think they'll be up for the challenge here. I think Utah is going to hand Colorado their fourth straight loss here.
Then it's Arizona once again at home, and this is maybe a game that Colorado has a bit more of a chance in. The Wildcats are losing Tadaro McMillan, and I think that Noah Fafita is going to be a little bit lost without him early in the season, and it's really going to depend on whether or not guys can step up at the wide receiver position for Arizona if they're going to have a chance to compete in the Big 12 this season. I think that there are going to be a couple guys, and Fafita, he seemed to get worse last year than his freshman season. He's going to year for Arizona to have a chance in this game against Colorado. I do think that this is where Caden Salter and the Buffs can finally bounce back and get that ever elusive second Big 12 win.
And I think they'll be in good shape to get a third Big 12 win after that with a road trip to West Virginia. West Virginia is a very interesting team because they've had so much turnover in the transfer portal. I believe they had 20 players enter the transfer portal in one day back in the spring. And I really don't see how this Mountaineers team is going to be able to compete with the talent Colorado has. They have a new starting quarterback coming in, and I again, the talent disparity is greatly in Colorado's favor. They should be able to go on the road and get another Big 12 win here, moving them to 5-5 before their final bye week.
And how about this stretch of two games after the bye week? Arizona State's first up, Sam Levitt back at quarterback, along with 17 or 18 other starters for this Arizona State team. They are going to be ridiculously good once again, but it's the Big 12, which means that pretty much anything can happen. I don't think that anybody's going undefeated in the Big 12. I'd be shocked if there was even a one-loss team. So Arizona State's going to have to lose to somebody. I don't think it's going to be Colorado then. The talent gap here, I think it's pretty big. Caden Salter has the ability to keep Colorado in some of these games, but I don't think it'll be this one.
And then their final game of the season is that road trip against Kansas State. And like Jonah was alluding to, chaos is a big thing in the Big 12. And Kansas State is one of those teams that we think has a really good chance at making the Big 12 championship game and possibly making the college football playoffs, whether that is as the Big 12 champion or as an at-large bid. Kansas State is currently one of the co-favorites with Arizona State to actually win the Big 12. All that being said, though, Colorado is going to shock the Wildcats here and make Colorado bowl eligible and likely knock Kansas State out of the playoffs here.
Our way too early projection for Colorado was 6.25 wins, 5.75 losses. And we had them going 8-4 initially, but since then we've been a little bit higher on some of these other teams that they're facing. And overall, the Big 12 standings got balanced out a little bit more. So I do think that it's more than likely that Colorado will finish lower than 8-4, around 6-6, somewhere in there. Our new projection did go down to 6.05 wins, 3.8 and 5.2 in Big 12 play. And their floor is going to be 4-8, which seems really bad. But considering you lost both Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter, it's very possible if Caden Salter ends up being a bust and they have to maybe switch to Julian Lewis at some point in the year. I don't really think that'll be the case. I still feel good about the Buffaloes making a bowl game, though. The ceiling is going to be that original prediction we had 8-4, 6-3 in Big 12 play, but I don't see a college football playoff berth this season for Colorado. not really even going to be anywhere close, in our opinion. So, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.